Hello, folks. My name is Christian Fang. I'm a marketing major here at Brigham Young University, and today I'll be giving my stock recommendation report for General Motors. First and foremost, I would like to come out and say that I recommend a hold rating on the stock of General Motors, which is traded on the New York Stock Exchange. So the logo for General Motors looks like this. It's a blue square with GM, which represent General Motors. Alongside with my statement of recommending a hold rating, I would also like to talk about the company description, stock history evaluation, current company condition, company's competitors, company future, and a conclusion. So, alongside to support my thesis of a hold rating on General Motors stock, General Motors. The reason why I say that is because General Motors pays a dividend of $1.20. Oil prices have slowly decreased in the past several years, but also alongside that, they have just recently picked up a little bit. Recent shutdown of a General Motors factory in Russia was new innovation of a 4G LTE network into some of the vehicles which General Motors produces. There has been an increase in interest rates, and they have a new product called the Chevy Volt. There's a steady increase in stock price over the last 5 years, and they have made an announcement for a new V6 engine, which has been determined to be the most advanced in the industry, which General Motors will be installing into their Cadillac line of cars. So General Motors, they're an auto manufacturer, and they build, design, sell, and distribute cars, crossovers, trucks, and car parts all over the world, internationally. And one and some of the products, which some of the brand names which General Motors produces include Buick, Cadillac, Chevrolet, GMC, Opel, Holden, and Vauxhall. However, some of these brands are not found here in the United States. General Motors makes its business by selling and distributing its cars and products to dealerships, which retail their cars, rental car services, fleet services, other private and public organizations, and governments, and so forth. Now, a picture I want to show you is a picture of the 2016 Chevrolet Camaro. It's newly designed as compared to the 2014 and 2015 Camaro. The Camaro is a very popular car and came up around the late 50s and early 60s, and has been a popular car ever since. Next, I have the Chevy Volt, and this car Chevrolet designed to compete in the eco-friendly class. It is a hybrid car, and it takes both gas and electricity. However, inside the car, the gas is only used to turn on the generator so that it may produce electricity for the electric motor which powers the car in the Chevy Volt. Next up, I would like to talk about the stock valuation and information. As of Thursday, March 19th, 2015, General Motors closed a stock price of $38.65. However, earlier that day, it opened at $38.45, which is a 20-cent price increase. General Motors market cap is 62.24 billion. Their profit margin is 2.53%. Their return on equity is 10.15%, and their earnings per share is $1.65. Now, General Motors went public in 2010, issuing an IPO of $34.26, and as compared to today, where the stock price is $38.65. There has been roughly about a $4 increase in stock price, and this has happened over the past 5 years, roughly 5 years. So General Motors, like I mentioned before, they closed down their plant in Russia. This cost them $600 million. Well, now it could be bad or it could be good, because they could use the money that would have been going towards the Russia plant to go towards research and development of new products, or distribution of money to help other factories in other places. Also, I talked about the 4G LTE network, which is the nation's fastest mobile network as of right now. And General Motors will be incorporating that network into some of their cars. Next up, I would like to talk about a comparison to the General Motors to the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, and the Dow Jones Industrial. And here I have a little graph. And right here we see this is the NASDAQ. A little bit lower we have the S&P 500, and under the S&P 500 we have the Dow Jones Industrial Average, and then under here we have General Motors. So General Motors is below all three, the NASDAQ, S&P 500, and the Dow Jones Industrial Average, but they are fairly still doing well. I have a little chart here which compares General Motors' cumulative total return, which is this low line right here, but it corresponds with the lines from the S&P 500 and Dow Jones Industrial Average. Next, I would like to talk about some competitors for GM, which include Toyota, Ford, and Honda. So, as we can see here, this is the stock chart for the industry, and I've included Toyota. I've included Toyota, Ford, and Honda. And up top here we have Toyota, which is doing really good. Ford and General Motors, which are doing fairly well, but not as good as Toyota. And then we have Honda here on the bottom. So General Motors is below the industry on growth, and their net income is fairly low. Although they have the highest earnings per share ratio, earning $23.41 for every dollar invested. General Motors' market cap is above the industry's market cap. Their stock is overvalued. However, this may be because they have many loyal customers who have stuck with GM even before they went public, and they're what we would call extremists. Although GM is not the best in the industry, there are some areas where GM is beating the competition. So Toyota Motor Corporation, they have a profit margin of 7.58%. Their return on equity is 13.64%, and their earnings per share is $10.53, which is about 10 times higher than General Motors. Ford, I forgot to mention that Toyota's stock price is $140 as of March 19th, which is almost 3-4 times General Motors. Ford Motor Company, their stock price is $16.34, which is half the price, which is a little under half the price of General Motors stock price. Their profit margin is 2.21%, their return on equity is 12.34%, and their earnings per share is 80 cents. So we see how Ford is another American-based company, and it is almost similar to General Motors. Honda's stock price, Honda Motor Company, is $33.92, which is a little closer to General Motors stock price. Their profit margin is $4.81. The return on equity is $9.81%. Profit margin was 4.81%. Excuse me. And their earnings per share is $2.72. So lastly, I'd like to talk about the General Motors' impact on economy in the U.S. They are one of the main drivers for the economy because the economy thrives on the manufacturing of auto manufacturers and of housing. And General Motors helps to do that because they are one of the main powerhouses. The company future, because General Motors is really good at implementing new technology into their vehicles. They have a availability of adequate financing and acceptable terms to customers, dealers, distributors, and suppliers. This enables them to continue their business. Their overall strength and stability of the automotive industry, both in the US and in global markets, are key to their success. Currently, General Motors is seeking to expand its prime lending programs in North America and anticipate that prime lending will become an increasing percentage of their customers' portfolio balance over time. General Motors believes that offering a comprehensive suite of financing products will generate incremental sales of vehicles, drive incremental General Motors financial earnings, and help support sales throughout economic cycles. In the year ending December 31st, 2015, General Motors expects earnings before income taxes to remain constant with 2014 because of their near-term financial results will be impacted by additional provisions on loan losses and interest expense resulting from the growth of the business. Lastly, in conclusion, I restate that I recommend a hold rating on General Motors stock because oil prices have been falling. They are installing new innovations into new vehicles, and they are restructuring their operations in Europe. However, oil prices just recently picked up a little bit. Interest rates have raised a few, and if in June the interest rates are still continuing to raise, I may recommend a sell rating on General Motors. So now, because the oil prices have been falling, people would spend money on cars. And but if they do spend money on cars, they usually take a loan help. But because interest rates are raising, this may affect the car which they choose to buy. So instead of getting a bigger and upgrading to a bigger and better car, they may be getting a car of maybe less or the same value. And because the interest rates is higher, it's more risky for the customer because that means that the price of their car will be higher, and the amount of money that they pay will be higher. Also, I believe that General Motors will do great with their new innovations of 4G LTE network into their cars. I believe that their restructuring in Russia will be successful, and in June, if the interest rates do continue to rise, I may recommend a sell rating. So that's it about General Motors. Thank you.